High definition render pipeline. This update that Unity had was massive. Not only was it actually quite an easy to understand update, it upped the overall quality of Unity itself. Like, to put it quite next to Unreal Engine, quality wise and graphics wise. That being said, in this video I'll show a raw part of the high definition render pipeline, or HDRP, that I use in my game Audio Infection in order to make the game look a lot more realistic where it matters, and overall a bit more clean. Because the shaders used with this are of such quality that the game just looks completely different from what was before it. I have some other videos that highlight the differences, but in this one I will just focus on the HDRP. Now, that being said, the moment you implement it, you will notice that you will have to fix all of your shaders basically. Because most of the things in Unity for HDRP are not compatible with the other render pipelines. So that being said, it was a headache to port the project that was already pretty much done to HDRP. Now, HDRP brings up a ton of new features, and the one that I use mainly is the Sky and Fog volume, which comes with a lot of parameters that you can add and tweak. It has things for post-processing, it has lighting adjustments, materials, like, list goes on. I don't use ray tracing in my game and I don't have a graphics card that supports it, so I've not paid attention to that. And there are some other features, like Gradient Sky is also a great one. That being said, the ones that I mainly use are the color curves in order to give scenes a more warm or cold feeling, depending on what matters, and you can also play with the highlights as well. In this one I use the U versus U, and I think in some other ones I also use the saturation to get a right feel in my scene. Motion blur is mostly disabled. I also can't remember enabling it in general. I'm not fond of motion blur. But bloom, on the other hand, is used a lot in this game. Because with bloom I can make, like, the little sun over there, it's a bit more realistic. Like the light around the clouds, these are supposed to be clouds, is more, like, it pops out more, it pops out better. It gives your game overall a better feel. And especially if you look at it from certain angles, since this scene is only showable on one angle unless you play it in VR, you will see the good side of it. And the balloons have a little glow in them as well. Then you have like little light bulbs in there as well. Overall, bloom is massive. Then we have the exposure, which is, honestly, you'll have to tweak it to your own needs. It took me a lot of time to get the overall intensity of the volume and the skybox to be decent, as in not too overwhelming, and still good enough so you can see other colors and details. Like, for example, from a distance it's more difficult to tell, but this little UFO has multiple colors tied to it. And in the game window you can see mainly grey, black. Like, the red looks a bit grayish as well. The cyan pops out really nice due to the blue. That's pretty much it. But then you have like the little box over here, and in there you can see the glow, and as well as the color differences from red to yellowish, which is honestly great. Now, that being said, once you hit the play button, you can see that the bloom follows the animations as well, and that is the most important part for me about this. Just that it isn't static. Like, the effects are dynamic, and that means that you can animate things without losing effects and not only animating. Like, you can do a lot more things, like sliders can be adjusted on demand if you have enough knowledge about programming. Like, a lot of things are important here. For example, look at the sun rays. They are also the bloom. They blend in perfectly well with the sun. Light bulbs as well. On the UFO you can see the sign things being animated. Like right now you cannot hear it, but everything is audio based, so the animations that you see move along with the background music that's playing in the game currently. Now let's go to... don't save that. And here we are in a different environment. This one is a lot more dark in general, so there are more things that should pop out differently compared to the previous scene that I showed. We can enlarge this one a little bit, since the game window doesn't matter much here. Now, as you can see, first of all, like the environmental speakers, it's important that they pop out, and the enemies also when they spawn. And then on top, like if you're a VR player, you have a little Easter egg on top of here, and that's a giant clock. Now let's go to the Sky and Fog volume. The color curves here are a bit different. Yeah, here I have use the hue versus saturation and the luminosity versus saturation. As you can see, saturation and hue are still the same because this is mainly a dark environment. So I have to play with colors that are more towards the dark colors. And gray sky, same thing. Like for the overall ambient lighting, I had to go dark colors. Like there's no skybox out of here. It's all based on what you see. Exposure is of course more towards the dark side. I have a little bit of fog because there is a mist in this level. I think it was no, it was not this one. Environment, volumetric fog. Like this is as far as you can see, so there's no need to put fog all over the place. It would take up a necessary amount of resources. But this blends in extremely well with the overall lighting in the game. Even though it looks quite yellow on here, in game it blends very well. And those are some of the pros and cons that you'll have to outweigh with each other. Then we have like a physically based sky, which is not used, and we have a gray sky, which is used, which is this one with the colors and a multiply for the intensity. And what it all comes down to is that HDRP opens up a whole new world of quality. Like a lot of levels that I have in here look astonishing with high definition render pipeline. Like the details are phenomenal, and the creativity it gives you is great with the quality it delivers. So honestly, one of my favorite things that I had to delve into.